Today I'd like to talk about what I consider to be 6 essential ingredients for a life of joy, a life of happiness. Before we start, Thomas Jefferson, who wrote the Declaration of Independence, he wrote in there, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, something we're all familiar with. Yes, we have a world where people are indeed pursuing happiness, but you can pursue happiness all you want, and you may find little moments of joy, maybe moments of happiness, but unfortunately for most people it's not long lasting. They have a void inside of them. They fill it with playing games or distractions, all sorts of things. This makes them feel good for a little bit, and then it sort of whets their appetite, and as they begin to have that void again, so then they need more distractions. But it turns out not to be long-lasting. So let us begin. Ingredient number 1 are those people who suffer from a deep, dark, biologically based, medically based depression. They are stuck. They are in the pit. It's there in their DNA. They've been blessed or cursed, endowed with not enough serotonin or dopamine. They can't see out. Fortunately, these days we have treatment for this. Antidepressants like Prozac, which can help people then get out of the pit and onto the level playing field. Once they're on the level playing field, then they can begin to use the other ingredients for a joyful, happy life that I'm going to be talking about now. Number 2 is to have the recognition, as written in the very first line of the psychiatrist Dr. M. Scott Peck's opus called The Road Less Traveled. And that line is, life is difficult. Once we embrace the reality that life is difficult, then life actually stops being so difficult. In other words, we realize that there's going to be troubles, there's going to be problems. It's the way the world was set up. We all have our difficulties, we all have our problems. They will come our way whether we ask for them or not. Once we absorb that reality, once we quit wishing for, can't I go back to the good old days? Stops thinking that way, that I wish all my troubles could be over, and I'll just sit by the pool with a pina colada and just relax. Once we stop thinking about that way and realize, absorb the reality that there's inherent difficulties in life, then it all has to do with how you deal with those difficulties, how you look at those. Attitude is everything. In the words of Viktor Frankl, our greatest freedom is to choose our attitude no matter what comes our way. Also to recognize that when there's difficulties in life, then that can be a trigger, that can be a jump start to make things better. I think we all know that in our lives, when we have descents, when we go down, sometimes that can be the impetus for us to come back up again. To recognize that life is difficult, and then, ironically, life stops being so difficult. It's all how you deal with it that makes a difference. Moving onward and upward, number 3 is gratitude. To shift your thinking from one of expectation to one of appreciation can make all the difference. The sages say that we should wake up every single morning with a sense of gratitude, that the first words out of our mouths should be a big thank you. A thank you for the soul that I have inside of me. A thank you that I have eyes that can see, that I have legs that can walk, for all the things that we take for granted. In fact, what oftentimes is advised is somebody can actually write down. They can just do writing pages every morning and write down 5 things that they have tremendous gratitude for. It'll make all the difference. And what a great start to your day. Ingredient number 4 is to get out of yourself. We live in a world these days where that big letter I, me, is everything. My needs. People want to self-actualize. Nothing wrong with that, but people get consumed by that. No, true joy comes from giving. The soul wants to give, and through giving we have more joy, more happiness. You'll find that through giving, that happiness will catch up to you. Number 5 is action. In fact, what I would call ridiculous action. You know, people, they get sort of stuck, they sort of get stuck in their ways, but just start dancing, start singing, take a good cold shower and scream. Get yourself into action mode. A lot of people say, well, I just don't feel like exercising. I don't feel like doing something. But if you just follow your feelings all the time, you may not do anything. Action will actually generate the feeling. And so get yourself out there, do ridiculous things. In my family that I grew up in, we used to call it being a gooner. Ridiculous action. And finally, ingredient number 6 for a life of joy and happiness, ladies and gentlemen, is what we often talk about here, which is to know who we truly are and to know where we are going. We are not our failures. We are not our bank account. We are not our feelings. We are a divine soul, and we are here on a mission. We got to get out of this place. If it's the last thing we ever do. Yep, we have to get out of those places, those places that drag us down. And so if you use these 6 ingredients, I promise you, you will have a life with much more joy and much more happiness. If you should have any comments or additional ingredients that you want to share with me, please share them in the space below.